with this, lot of math knowledge in real life. So I decided to move forward with a master's degree in Manchester University, and I was specialized in applied maths, numerical analysis, and computing. I was developing algorithms in order to solve problems. After my graduating from master's, I came back to Istanbul, but I didn't know what to do, honestly speaking, because fresh out of college, and there are lots of jobs, but you need to pick the right one. So I was, it was, long hours of chats with the family members, with professionals, and so on and so forth. So I said, okay, I want to be working for a company that is in my life. Mm-hmm. Either I experience that brand every day, or I go to that brand every day, or I shop from that brand every day. So I need to be a part of it in order to make the best, in order to add the best value to that company. So I picked retail. And at that time, Migros was a coach holding company. I applied for a job, and they said, okay, yeah, come work with us. So I started as an R&D and strategic planning specialist in coach holding, mm-hmm. and moved forward with Migros, because Migros was the retail base of coach holding at that time. So while I was working for Migros, R&D is a department that you can do whatever you want for the first 2 years of your career. Then you get to pick what you want to be. So you work with HR, you work with category management, logistics, IT, and so on and so forth. So I've been in, I participated in a couple of projects. Then towards the end of those 2 years, they were building that, there's a huge warehouse, maybe you don't know, in Istanbul, Gebze, there's a huge Migros warehouse, and it was one of the, at that time, one of the biggest warehouses in Turkey, in an FMCG business. And I just wanted to be a part of that project, and then my journey started, actually. So as a result of that, I've chosen supply chain and logistics as a career path. So I worked for Migros for 9 years. Then after that, I was offered a position in Shaya Group. They were operating Starbucks in Turkey. And I was always a fan of Starbucks, because when I was studying in UK, and I was developing algorithms and so on and so forth, and coffee was my very close friend, and there was Starbucks stores everywhere. So from that experience, I was like, okay, if they are to open a Starbucks in Turkey, I want to be part of that as well. So once they offered me a job, I said yes. And I managed the supply chain and logistics of the Shaya Group, Starbucks, and all the other brands such as Victoria's Secret, Body Shop, Topshop, so on and so forth. We had like zillions of brands. Right after that, I worked for Boyner. I worked with Cem Boyner for nearly 4 years. I was managing the operations and IT. Then I worked for another logistics company. I was the general manager of the company, actually. And we were managing the e-commerce operations for Inditex Group, Zara, and the other brands, and Mango, and many other retail brands as well. Then I said, that's enough. Okay, I'm past 40 now. I'm old enough, so I don't want to be in a corporate world anymore. Now I'm doing a freelance consultancy for retail companies and e-commerce companies as well, and startups. On top of this, I'm studying mindfulness, MBCT, and I'm an Ayurvedic yoga therapist and a Pilates instructor. But these are all for my own use. I don't share this experience with the world, but I really enjoy it a lot. So that's basically what I do. I do freelance consultancy at the time. Maybe.
Also personal development trainer.
Kind of, yeah. Actually, I do some trainings, but what I do is that since, I worked for operations all my life, like 22, 23 years, and there was a lot of stress. And in order to manage that stress, you need to use some instruments, It's not that easy, Supply chain is quite messed up. And in Turkey, being a woman, being in logistics business, and so on and so forth. And for that reason, I think that technology, I call them technology, the Ayurvedic lifestyle, yoga, mindfulness, breathing, pranayama, and so on and so forth. So I use that technology in order to, cool down a little. And I manage my stress that way. Otherwise, it's not possible at all. So that's what I do basically.
It was great professional life.
Well, I'm still continuing to be a part of the supply chain business, but as a consultant, which is, of course, I have like 4 or 5 projects at the time being, but it's not like you're a part of the company, but as a consultant, you take part in the projects, but you're not, managing the whole operations, which was very, very interesting when I first started, because I just wanted to take over everything, because I was used to that for 20 something years. I was managing everything end to end. Then once you're a consultant, you're like, okay, now my job starts here and ends here, and it was so hard to manage when I first started, but I got used to it. It's been a year now, and yeah, I think I'm managing well.
Thank you very much. I think most of our business development students are here, and also I think they have a lot of questions to ask you, because you have multidisciplinary professional life.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone ask question in chat, and I will ask you. Then you may answer.
Sure.
So I would like to start with a question for new graduate students. What do you recommend them?
Well, first of all,
question.
It's a $1 million question. The answer is, anyways, first of all, don't rush into anything, because I sincerely believe that your first job is very important in your life. So you need to be sure that it's the right path for you. But so take it easy. And if you're a new graduate, and if you have a specific job, let's say, or you want to move forward with a master's degree, for instance, just take some time off and decide what you want to be. Then try that for a couple of years. Then go back to your master's degree, because somehow I don't remember it. It's like 25 years ago, I was in a hurry. Right after university, I went to UK for the master's, so I didn't take any time off. So I don't regret that decision right now. However, maybe, thinking back like 25 years, but still, maybe I would have taken another master's course instead of this, because what I regret right now, for instance, I studied computing. My experience is all based off artificial intelligence, and now it's the artificial intelligence everywhere. But I don't practice that anymore, because once you move forward to a career path and you're into operations, you cannot go back. So I've studied a very, very, very long and very hard course with the thesis and everything. And in the end, I'm only using 50% of what I studied during that time. So please take your time and make sure make sure about what you want to do in your life, and pick the right job. What I recommend to the newly graduates is that be a part of a big group, because then I started my career in coach holding, and I started as an MT. So they were, training courses, lots of opportunities. There was a diversity of jobs, so that I got to go back and forth projects and get to choose what I want to do with my life. I was kind of lucky. So do not rush to be a part of a company. First, do your shortlist and make sure that list of companies, shortlisted companies, offer a variety of jobs, positions, and if they offer MT programs, it's better, so that you have a couple of years to think about what you want to do with your life. Because when you graduate, you're young, you just want to earn your own money. That was the fact behind that. That's why people rush, because you want to manage your own life. You want to take control of everything. That's good. But still, I mean, you've been with your family, or you've been managing like you were doing now for the past 4 years. So take your time for a couple of 3-4 months and decide later on, so that that job, your first job, can be your career path. Do not change jobs, once you start somewhere, in 6 months, it's not the job for me. Then when I review CVs, I just, unfortunately, highlight them, because that person is either, it was an unfortunate event. Okay, once you have an interview with him or her, you get to understand that. However, if it's not the fact, then you get second thoughts. That's why your first job is very important.
Okay, thank you. Also, what skills should a graduate have? What is your recommend?
Well, it changes every 5 years though, because the dynamics change every 5 to 10 years. I think they should be able to manage the stress and the rapid changes, because we are going through very tough times, and I've been preparing reports on how we are going to evaluate the supply chain of the companies that I work with at the time being. And the key point on all of these reports is the people, how we are going to manage them, and how they are going to adapt to this new normal. So being open to rapid changes, being analytical, and being mindful of what you're going to face with is very important, because I know the new generation, they are already very energetic. They have lots of new ideas and so on and so forth. But however, in the coming years, everything will change very rapidly, and they will need to adapt to these changes accordingly.
Okay, thank you. How about e-commerce area, about employment opportunities?
Yeah, it's my focus point right now, because most of my companies are e-commerce companies, by the way. They manage very well, and the very interesting part is that during this quarantine stage, I'm working from home. I don't go to the companies right now, because most of them they do work from home. Anyways, I got lots of calls from many other companies who were not on e-com. They operate as a retailer, but they didn't have the online channel like e-com operations, and they just wanted to be on those either e-com platforms, or they wanted their own website very rapidly, because now the customer behavior, because in Turkey the e-com shopping rate is quite like single digit. It's double digit, but it's very close to the single digit of the total turnover. But with this rapid change, they don't want to go to the mall, they don't want to go to the supermarket and so on. So there are huge opportunities in e-com. However, not only on the commercial side, but I believe the main opportunity will be on the operation side, because now what matters is the last mile delivery, because maybe most of us shopped from Migros or other supermarket chains during this pandemic, and we had some issues because they were late. The product they delivered were out of date, or they were short on products. That's why they couldn't manage their supply chain and so on. So last mile delivery, what the customer experience, what I mean by last mile delivery is that as a customer, when you open the door and you receive those packages and open the packs, everything should be, perfect, 100%, what you ordered, what it's supposed to be in perfect manner, and so on and so forth. So I believe in e-commerce, and there's another sector as well. I'll get to that in a minute. There are huge opportunities. So they need to be focusing on operations and customer experience and data, because now data matters. All of us, we're here home, we're with our iPhones placing our orders and so on and so. So there's a huge data. So e-commerce with the shopping experience and using that data as an instrument to manage all those operations will be the key. So there are huge opportunities, and that's for that reason lots of companies, e-com companies, or companies who are migrating to the e-com infrastructure are hiring people, and they're hiring newly graduates as well, because they're going to grow with them. So they are huge. And another opportunity will be the technology, of course, because now we are having this meeting on Zoom. Maybe we won't need offices in 5 years' time, because now all of my customers, they are now struggling. Shall we keep those plazas, because we're paying zillions of dollars per year, but we can still manage from Zoom once you buy the license, that you can have longer meetings and so on. And you're more punctual, by the way, on Zoom, because you don't get to go out for a coffee with your friends, or you don't do 2 hours lunch break and so on and so forth. So technology and e-com will be the next 5 years top priority jobs.
Mm-hmm. How about employer opportunity?
You mean in terms of what the employer will benefit from?
Yes.
From that? Okay. Well, since I think their opportunity right now is that they're gathering quite a lot of data. So if they have the right instruments on their hands, they will have the opportunity to understand their customers better in order to serve them better well. So there is a huge opportunity for the companies, but they need to use this opportunity very well, because it's the once in a lifetime opportunity. So they need to use this data very well, and they need to structure, orchestrate a customer experience that once everything, this all, you know, pandemic is over, people will not switch back to the way we were, you know. But anyways, yesterday I saw people queuing outside of the shopping mall. So of course there will be old habits coming back, but there's a huge opportunity for the companies as well. So they need to invest in technology, in data science, and in customer experience.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. I would like to ask a question because most of students don't ask.
In fact, I have a question.
Yes.
The students might be curious about this too. Sedef, I know that there are you're receiving many CVs.
Yes.
I'm sure. And so can you share with the students, when you look at the CV, what are the things that you pay attention to? Like maybe first three things. Because right now we also have graduates who will be joining the, you know, the workforce. And of course, we are helping them to build up their CVs. And in fact, one thing is we're always also telling them to work on their volunteering too. Maybe that's something that you can also say something about, if it is like how crucial it is. So yeah, how they should build their CVs.
Well, in Turkey, there are, you know, we have now more universities, and there are quite a lot of graduates every year, and there are really valuable programs all through the country. So for instance, I mean, I receive 10-20 CVs per day because I help the companies to find the right CVs as well. It's a part of my job, because if I do a consultancy job for a company, if it's the restructuring of the supply chain, for instance, or whatever the department is, I'm responsible for reviewing the CVs and finding the right people, putting the right organization into place. So what I focus on each CV is that on the CV, I just want to see what that candidate wants to do with that CV very, very openly, because I receive lots of CVs and everyone apparently are either engineer or they studied economics, maths, or whatever, but they don't explain what they want to do, what they're ambitious for in their career. So I just want to see that to begin with. Plus, I'm looking at not the hobbies, but interesting talents that people have, because since real, you know, corporate lifestyle is very stressful, and it's so hard to manage. So I just want to see that candidate has other things in his or her life that he or she is managing the stress doing that thing that he likes, or it can be a voluntarily work in an organization, or it can be another like singing or writing or whatever that hobby I might say, but it's not a hobby though, because normally when it's written under hobby, I don't care much. But if he or she has been into that area in deep, then I'm interested. For instance, I sincerely recommend young people, let's say, to find technology and methodology to manage their stress in life, for instance. It can be anything they want. I mean, because there are lots of, technologies or methodologies that they can use, but not as a hobby, not, I read that book and that's it. Not that kind of. Go deeper and use that technology as an instrument. So that's what I want to see on a CV, for instance. So I want to see that person is not 100% work. He has other interests in life, and he's open to communication. He helps the community. He helps the environment. So these are the things that I actually look for. And most of all, of course, once I, shortlist the CVs, I just want to hear, I don't need to see that candidate at first, but I need to hear that, very energetic voice. That's what I'm looking for.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask also, most of our students would like to do master degree abroad or would like to work abroad. What do you think about this? What do you recommend living abroad?
Yeah, it's up to them though, but as I mentioned earlier, take some time off. And of course, if you can find an opportunity in another country, of course, go for it. But it's not easy, I have to say. Because when I was studying, I was working as well. So then I had another expat experience in Russia. It's not that easy to begin with, but it's a very toughening experience. So I recommend that. But for the masters, you can either, work for a couple of years and see whether you want to go deeper in that area of expertise. If you want to go deeper, then you can just take some time off and do the masters, or you can do, now with the technology, you can do online masters and so on. So it's all up to the candidate actually, but normally what I would have done 25 years back, let's say, I would have taken a year off and still apply for a job in Turkey or abroad. Then after that, I would have consider which masters to look for instance. But in our days, it was, like everyone should graduate and move forward to a master's degree, and some of them moved forward to the PhD and so on and so forth. But now I think things are changing. Master's degree is not that important to begin with. If it is going to help with your career, if you want to go deeper in an area of expertise, then go for a master's. But studying abroad, living abroad, of course, it's a huge experience. If you have the opportunity, go for it.
Actually, I do have a not really question. Before we jump to a master's degree, I wanted to ask, but I couldn't interrupt. I would like to hear your opinion about teamwork, because in class, we set up teams and usually students are not really happy because they want to pick their own team members. So I always refuse that, but since I am a faculty here, hearing from me may not be really important. Okay. And if you talk about it, then maybe they will get it. They will see the importance of it. Thank you.
Yes. You need to, teamwork is very important in corporate life, and you don't get to choose your team members in real life to begin with. So you need to be flexible. You need to be open to changes. So I think it's a very good challenge, an opportunity for the students to be able to be a part of a new team every time, so that they get to experience the different emotions, resolve different kind of problems every time. So I believe you should encourage them and push them to participate in different teamwork every time. And actually, I recommend the students to practice that as well, because then you learn a lot. Because teamwork, I mean, no man is an island by himself. So teamwork is very important. However, what I prefer, for instance, now being a consultant, in every company I have different teams, and I don't get to pick the teams, by the way. So whoever are working in that company are a part of my team now. So I'm looking forward to that, for instance. It's a huge challenge because I get to learn a lot from them. And there's a diversity there. And from that diversity, there is always new ideas coming in. So, and you get to practice your communication skills because you don't know that person. It's the first time that you're meeting that kind of a person with, different kind of communication skills or different kind of beliefs or whatever. So it's a great experience. So teamwork is the key. I mean, if you want to be successful in the corporate life or in real life, let's say, you need to be a very, very, very good team member. Sometimes you're the member of the team. Sometimes you're managing the whole team. It doesn't matter because, for instance, I have projects right now. In some, I'm the team. I manage the whole teams. In some of them, I'm just a team member who's giving support to a specific area. So it's the key. You need to. I mean, they need to adapt to that. Otherwise, they will have really hard times in corporate life.
Thank you. I have another one that I would like you to talk about it, and for them to prepare themselves. What is the most common conflict in workplaces that you kind of witness?
Well, for multinationals, it's something else. For local companies, it's something else. For local companies that what we call, it's managed by the family or by a single person. It's always they don't want to be challenged, and what they say is always the right thing to do. So you need to manage them very well, because I'm not going to say that you need to give up. You need to stand tall and try to convince them in the right way that it is the right thing to do. So that's the one of the biggest conflicts that I face with in Turkey, because I work with multinationals and local companies as well. For instance, I have a project right now who is managed by a single person who's like 15 years younger than me, but we're having conflicts, obviously, and it's all about I established this business, it's doing very well, so what I say is true. Then you don't need me. But it's not how you manage that. Because since you're more experienced than them, you just try to manage that conflict in a very nice manner. That's why I use those techniques, mindfulness and so on and so forth, stay cool and manage the conflict. In multinationals, there might be various reasons for conflicts, honestly speaking, but most of the time it's the egos that cause that conflict. So then there's not, I mean, well, because I've experienced a lot, and I had lots of conflicts throughout my professional life, and everyone has a different story. So I cannot say that this is the only reason, but most of the time, egos are the main main reason for the conflicts. But yeah, it's all based on, you know, people stiff-minded. They don't want to change their direction. They're not open to newness, changes, and there goes your conflict. That's why actually I recommend young people, newcomers, let's say, to be open to changes, to be flexible, and to leave their egos in a box, locked somewhere, so that they can communicate in an open manner. That way you can solve lots of problems.
Feyzanur asking, we are talking about changes in technology and importance of IT. What kind of knowledge should a business administration student has about in IT, and actually to what extent?
Well, it's up to your limits actually. As a BA student, you can concentrate on data sciences, and if you can manage the data better, then you can manage your business better. But I believe focusing on data and focusing on new kind of technologies for, you know, communication and solving business matters will be the key. So what I recommend them to is to follow all the resources, because now everything is on open source base. Align yourself with the world, see what every other country in the world is doing in terms of investments. Follow startups, because technology startups are the key factor. So be aware of what they're doing. For instance, Zoom is a very good example. Now we are communicating on Zoom, and right after the pandemic, Zoom is now hit $40 billion or something worth. It was like 2 years ago, a fund invested like $100 million. And now it's worth $40 billion. So in 2 years, I mean, nothing can make that much of money in a very short time. So be open to newness. It's not that I'm not telling anyone to, you know, concentrate on data sciences or, you know, move forward with the technology masters and so on and so forth. But be aware of what's going on in the world. Be aware what the startup companies are concentrating on. So that's the key. And even for instance, for supply chain, because like 10 years ago we didn't have, and we were all, you know, relying on people. Now we rely on technologies because we have robots everywhere in the warehouses. We need like 50% less people to do the labor.
Yes.
I have
Yes,
another
I have a
question. Then.
Oh.
Oops. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to ask about how to improve our learning skills like creativity, critical thinking, leadership, etc.
Well, for instance, for me, I follow what's going on in the world, but I was like this from day one. I mean, I read a lot, and I read every newsletter, and I participate in either voluntarily or I participate in startups, in incubation centers. So most of them are open source. They open their sources to people to inform them what's going on in their organization and so on. So be aware and never miss an opportunity to make a network, to improve your network. So whenever there is a conference in your campus, let's say, be there, go and introduce yourself to the speaker or speakers, or if it's a panel or something, and follow what's going on in the world. That's how you can improve it. Otherwise, and there's not a single methodology that you can follow and then you improve that. So just be open to learning and reading and communicating and networking.
Thank you.
In fact, I want to ask something related to what also Sede mentioned and Harika Hoca mentioned, Mahmut. Since there are these team working, right? We are making you part of those teamworks in your classes. In fact, those are also even I think, great place to start to build your leadership too. That's what I understood also from Sede and from Harika.
Yes.
So even those small groups.
Yeah, actually, guys, today, for instance, I had a meeting with Collective House CEO. He's the founder of the Collective House. Maybe you know Collective House. They built commune office spaces, so you don't need to rent a office by your own. You just share your office or share a desk or whatever. Anyways, and it's a huge investment, by the way. And the philosophy behind that is it's not they're selling more reasonable rented space. They're offering people a community, a networking opportunity. That's why people buy in, because normally, as you know, we're locals, we're Turkish. We want to own our own space. We don't like to share and so on. But the reason behind this, as Elif mentioned, it's for networking. So they never miss an opportunity. So there's a network there. If there's a business idea that they want to be a part of it, that's how you catch the opportunities. For instance, I work with investors, for instance. I listen to business ideas every 6 months. There's a challenge with a group of investors, let's say. Normally, I'm not an investor, by the way. I just do voluntarily mentorship to them. But I never miss that opportunity because there is a huge networking opportunity for myself and lots of things to learn because you learn. So never miss a teamwork opportunity.
Okay, what I was gonna say, because of pandemics, we know that we are not going back 100%. So they said that there's no normal anymore.
Yes.
And because of that, and we know that working conditions are changed, and it's gonna change. It will be more changes. So in that regard, what kind of skills students or new graduates should gain, or let's say adjust between the physical work and work at home to be successful?
Well, they need to be more resilient to begin with, because now since everybody is working from home and we don't have those office spaces, it's kind of, full of stress in another perspective, because before this pandemic, we were, going to our offices. It was, we were having some coffees with a couple of friends before work, and we were going out to lunch and so on. So now we don't have that anymore, and probably we will not be having that, you know, huge groups of people whining, dining, or, you know, having social meetings outside. To begin with, they need to be able to manage their own stress, and they need to be more resilient, because since I think it's our genes, DNA, we manage better when we are face to face. We need to see each other. We need, our gestures matters. But once we are, you know, everybody's on their computer and working from home, it's harder to communicate and pass that feelings to people that we're in relation or we're working with. So they need to manage their communication skills better, because you have, like, now you see me, and that the only gesture that you can see right now is either I'm smiling or just my face, that's it. But normally we use our body to give our to pass our feelings. So communication and managing stress will be the key, and of course managing the stressful moments through this, you know, virtual platform will be another challenge for the people. Even for me, I mean, it's for the first 2 weeks it was very difficult. Now we somehow adapted, let's say, and I think that's, and of course they will need to use their time better. So time management will be the key, because now if you're in office, you know the office hours, so that system manages you, so you know when to get to the office, when you can go home. If you're going to stay for a couple hours, you can do so, but now better time management will be very important.
I was ready to ask you about that, in fact, because usually that's what our students ask to our guests. How do they manage their time?
Okay.
It's a big question that's always come up by my
You mean manage my time
too? For me too.
for a whole day, yeah, or for business purposes?
I think usually students ask for like the business purposes, since they also need to now manage their time for their coursework.
Okay.
But also if you have some examples for whole day, yeah, that would be, I think, useful.
Because we need to think of it as a whole, because if you want to concentrate on your work, then you don't want anything else on your mind to think about. So normally how I manage my day is that I wake up very early. I do my practices, like I do meditation, I do breathing exercises, and I do 2 hours of workout. Then normally how I manage is since I have like 5 projects at the same time right now, for instance, normally I manage my agenda on day parts. So during the first 4 to 5 hours of the day, I manage or orchestrate the meetings. Then in the afternoon, I do the analysis and prepare the reports, and because there are lots of, you know, emails going back and forth, and so I concentrate on them. And but how I manage that is that I wake up around 5-ish in the morning, and I start working around 9:30, 10, and I finish at 7:30, 8 tops. But first thing in the morning, I complete all of my meetings. Then my, you know, body, my mind, everything is fresh. And if there is something that I need to think about or a problem that I need to solve, I take care of it in the afternoon because I already am aware of what I'm going to face with in the morning. So that's how I manage it. Of course, it changes from, it depends on the importance of the project, or it can change from time to time. But managing your, I mean, it depends on what you're doing though, but most of my time, I need to do lots of meetings. I need to communicate with lots of people, you know, explain them why we are going to move forward that way, so that they need to take their part and concentrate on that and do their homework and come back to me so that I can see if they're on the right path. So that's why I do that first thing in the morning until 1:32. Then in the afternoon, I start collecting data or whatever the output they're supposed to come up with from them, so that I can work on the data during the afternoon, then come back with my feedbacks the following day in the morning.
I will also try that, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, but I wake up very early. Underline this. Because 24 hours is not enough for me.
No, I think that's also a good tip though, because that's also one thing that our students are having difficulty too. I think they tend to sleep. They are having difficulty to attend their morning sessions too. It's maybe because they are young now, but yeah, probably in the future it needs to change when they start work.
Plus, I mean, since I do some spiritual work as well, I sincerely believe that a healthy sleep until 6-ish is okay. And I think in Ayurveda, it's believed that you should be going to bed when it's nighttime, when there is no sun. So in Turkey, in average, it's around 10:30. Then you should wake up around 5:30, so that you had the full sleep and your body is detoxed, both physically and spiritually. Then in the morning, you will have some time for yourself as well, because you will have more energy when you get used to that. Of course, the first 7 to 20 days is very hard. But once you get used to that, you know, waking up early, making some time for yourself, you know, you can have your the coffee that you like, or you can just read a book, or you can just, you know, watch TV, whatever. But waking up early and having that discipline in your body will help you a lot in the professional life as well. I was like this all my life because my mother was like this, and my sister, she likes to sleep. But I always wake up very early. I practice, then I move forward. But for that reason, I'm always very energetic. I'm never out of battery. So I sincerely recommend that. That way you can manage your corporate life better.
Nice, thank you.
We have last question. I think Selman Hocam asking, consulting is a very structured process without having formal consulting job experience. Did you find it hard to provide consulting service to your clients when you first set up your company?
Very good question to begin with. Thank you for this question. Because all my life, I mean, I was on the other side of the table, and I never cared much about consultants, because I always thought that they prepare, you know, huge reports, fancy reports, and they bill you quite a lot of money in return for those reports. And I struggled a lot with them because in general, we don't have SMEs, we don't have we don't have experts in an area of expertise. But consultants are mainly, you know, they know everything, but in a general concept. So for that reason, I knew once I'm done with the corporate life, I knew what I was looking for in a consultant. That's why I communicate better with my customers, because I've struggled with consultants all my life, because I try to explain what real life is and how the operation flow works. It's not like you see on papers or reports, because in real life, they're real people, you know, the electricity can go, and or there might be an earthquake, or there might be a pandemic like this, and still you need to ship your goods to the customers. So you need to find a way. So it's not like in preparing the report. So for that reason, it was easier for me, because I knew what I was looking for in a consultant. And I'm not like a consultant who just, provides you with reports or, with thoughts and so on. I'm acting as an operating partner. That was actually most of the private equities work in that manner. So it was actually not hard for me, but it was harder for the companies that I worked with, because they were used to old-fashioned consultancy businesses. But I was, I am always with them. I'm in their, executive committees, managing the whole operation, or I act as I'm part of that company, as I'm responsible for the P&L of that company. So it was not that hard for me. And I started with what I know best, e-com and retail. Maybe for that specific reason, I didn't struggle. And since I worked with corporate companies for 22 years or 23, I cannot remember. But I'm very used to structured working style. And I always manage my time very well.
We appreciate for giving such a valuable information and your patience. Due to the Zoom limitation, we have only 2 minutes.
Okay, one last question var mı?
one question.
Okay, sanırım yok.
Yeah.
Galiba.
Okay. Thank
Viana,
you for having me.
Viana accept our invitation.
You're most welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to contact me anytime you want. If there's anything I can help you with, it will be my pleasure.
We would like to see you again, and thank you Elif Bengi hocam, harika hocam, for attending, and Elif Bengi hocam, thank you for giving a chance meeting with Ms. Nasuhioğlu.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Take care. Sağlıkla kalın. Bye.
Teşekkürler sizler de. İyi akşamlar herkese.
Teşekkürler, iyi akşamlar.